Hi guys, and welcome to another Divi Theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. We've got three little hover effects for you today. We've got an icon with a bit of text there. When I hover over, it's going to fade into a call to action button, good button obviously. And we got a similar thing next door with just the icon, and it's going to pop up to just the button. And we've got one on the right here. When we hover over, the call to action is going to spin in with the button right there ready. Really easy to do. There's no coding involved in this today. We're just doing it with the inbuilt features of the Divi theme itself. We'll also show you how to make this mobile friendly as well. So let's get started. I'm going to enable the visual builder so we can build on the front end. Okay, once loaded, let's go down and we'll start from scratch. I'm going to add a new section, a little blue button here, and make it a regular section. I'm going to add 3 columns purely because that's what I've got above. Okay, and what we want to do first is see the actual icon. Now I'm not actually going to use the icon module. Divi comes as standard with all these modules, plenty enough to build just about any site. They've added the icon recently and just partnered up with Font Awesome, so there's a lot more icons to choose from. I'm actually going to use the Blurb module because it's got its own icon and we can adjust the height of it a lot easier. So I'm going to hit the blurb right there. I move this out of the way, scroll this up. Okay, well there's a regular blurb module. Obviously put in what your title wants to say there and what your text wants to say underneath. And this is a regular text box with all the usual features. You can paragraph, make headings, bold, italicize, make bullet lists and add media if you want to. I'm going to leave mine just like that. If I roll down a little bit more, I'm actually going to use an icon rather than an image. They've got an image placeholder there. So I'm going to flip the little switch up here to on for icon, yes. And you can do a search, or you can just scroll through, or you can hit this little icon here and it'll pop out into a little break box here and you can scroll through. And there's a lot of scrolling if you're just randomly searching. As I said, they've teamed up with Font Awesome. That's going to work for me. Let's grab one of these computer ones. Okay, so we've got an icon, we've got a title, and we've got a bit of writing in there. I think what I'm going to do is just use the title here as I've done above there, and let's say computer or something, and lose the writing, and I'll put the writing in the actual call to action. So still in the content, let's go back up. And let's just change that to computer. Now we've got a computer icon up there. And I'm going to get rid of that completely. Great. So we're just left with that. Down below at the link, if you wanted to link this module somewhere, you can do so here. You can link the title and the actual whole module itself. My recommendation would not be to link this particular module purely because we're going to have another module slide in on top of it. So if we want to do a link, it'd be better to put the link in the one that's on top. Okay, well let's give it a little background color. Use purple this time. There we go, it's inside there. If you want to give it an admin label, you can. I'm going to call it Blurb 1. Design wise, I'm going to leave my icon just exactly the way it is. I want to make my text center align though in the text module here. I want to make it light in color. And you can do title and body text separately here. And as usual, Divi's got a crazy amount of fonts. If you want to audition one, just roll over it. It'll give you an example. I'm going to leave mine on the default for this today. I think I will make it uppercase like the one above. Great. Okay. Now what I actually want to do, I don't want to really style this anymore, but I want to make it a fixed height. So I'm going to roll on down to sizing here. Here's content width, max width, module alignment, min height and height. For the height, I'm going to make it 300 pixels tall. So it'll stay that height on all devices. Great. Now I just want to push this icon down some to the middle there. If we roll down to spacing, just going to use a bit of padding on the top to do that. Let's try 100 pixels and see what that looks like. Just put in the 100, it'll put the pixels in there for you. That's not too bad. Let's maybe take it up a little. Let's try 70. Yeah, I think that's going to work for me. Obviously, you have yours where you want it. Okay, so that's what we're going to see initially. Then when people hover over it, we want another little module with a button and a bit of text to fade in over it. And to do this, we have to shake things up a little bit, really easy. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to save the changes. Okay, I want to go into this row now and take away any guttering. The guttering is the space between above and below modules. So if I was to add a new module now, if I click on this module, add a little plus to add a new module, I'm going to use a call to action. You'll see it's added it, but it's added a little gap underneath. So let's just save that, and we'll go into our row and change the gutters so there's no gap. So if I go into the row, roll this up so we can see, go into design, sizing, and I'm going to take that down to 1. As you can see, they're buffered up against each other. Okay, let's decorate this one. What I want to do is we'll give it a different color, a title and a button. So we'll save our row settings now they're correct, and we'll go back into this module. Here, let's use that interested perhaps. Obviously put in whatever you want to put in there. A little too much text for us right there. It says button click here. Let's change that to learn more. I know you can't see that button, but as soon as I put in a link, it'll show up and say learn more. And if we roll down a bit to link down here, here's a button link. Simply put your URL you want to take people in there. I'll put a hashtag as a placeholder. And as soon as I put that in, you can see it's added the button for us. Now, if you wanted to, you could put a second link in so this whole module goes to one link and your button goes to another one, or the same link if you prefer. If you want to do that, put the link in there for the module. Always best practice, if you're linking to your own site, leave it in the same window. If you're linking off-site, open it in a new tab so that your site stays open. Okay. Now what we're going to do is just give this a different background. Let's just give it a blue perhaps. Now what I need to do is slide this module up over the top of this one, and so there's nothing spilling out. We want to make sure they're both the same size. I know that's 300 tall. So let's go over to our design tab again, and we'll give this the same size. So I'm going to go down to spacing, and again down to height. I'm simply going to type in 300. It'll put in the pixels for us. There we go. And I think I want to pop that content down just a little bit. So again, we'll go to spacing just down below. And let's perhaps give it 50 on the top. Don't want to push it down too far. That's about right for me. Okay, here's where the fun starts. Now we want to drag this one up over the top of this. And we're going to use a bit of negative margin to do that. So right above our padding in the spacing under the design tab, I know this is 300, so if I write negative 300, this should go up by 300 and completely cover the top one. So let's say negative 300 pixels. And there it is. You can only see that second one there because it's on top of our new one. Great, and now we want it to actually disappear because we don't want to see this initially. We just want to see the icon and text. So still on the design tab, I'm going to go down to filters. If we roll down, you'll find opacity. Now opacity is transparency or see-throughness, and this is common to most Divi modules. If you hover over the dark writing in a module, you'll see some icons appear. Go to the one you want, in our case opacity today. If there's an arrow, click on the arrow. It'll open up and give us a desktop state when the mouse is not on it, and a hover state when the mouse is on it, obviously. When we hover over it, I want it to be 100%. When the mouse is not on it, I don't want to see it at all, so I'm going to drag the opacity all the way down to 0, and it'll be invisible, so we just get to see our icon. Now when we hover over it, I'm going to bring that up so we see the other one fully. That way when they put their mouse on it, it's going to fade in. Now the time it takes to fade in from desktop to hover state by default with Divi is 300 milliseconds. If you want to speed that up or slow it down, pop over to Advanced tab here, go down to Transitions. There's transition duration. There's the default 300 milliseconds. I'm going to take this up to maybe twice that, maybe 6. Here you can slide, you can type in a number, and you can increment up and down with the little arrows here. Transition delay, if you want it to happen after they put their mouse on it rather than as soon as it hits it, you can put a delay time in there. I want mine to happen right away, so I'm going to leave that at 0. As soon as they put their mouse on it, I want something to happen. And the transition speed curve I tend to use for these hover effects is ease in, ease out. They're all subtly different. Some will work better than others in some situations, so do check them out. But for me, ease in, ease out is going to work for that today. Okay, and that one should be ready to go. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to clone this 3 times, and we'll do a couple of different variations of it. Now to do this, because we've done a bit of positioning here, it's going to be hard to get to both of these modules because they're on top of each other with a visual builder. As you can see, I've only got 1 module tab, although there's 2 of them stacked on top of each other there. Easiest way around this is to go to wireframe or back-end mode. So if we go down to our little purple button, little icon down on the bottom left here, click on it, and it takes us to the back end. There's our blurb one and our call to action. Remember, we set the admin label for that. So what admin labels do, when you go into the back end mode, you can quickly tell what modules are because you've given them a name with the admin label. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clone our first little blurb one here. 2 little squares, and they're both the same, so it doesn't matter which one. I'm going to drag one of them across. Now let's flip back to desktop mode, the little desktop icon here, and we can edit this one the way we want. So the first thing I want to do is take that background away from here. So let's go into this module. I'm going to take the background away. Hit the little trash can right there. And if I move this so you can see, we're just left with a little icon there. And our writing is white on white so you can't see it. So let's go over to our design tab. I'm going to change that icon to the purple color we use for our box. Obviously you change yours how you want. And the text down below here, I'm going to make that dark so we can see it again. Great. And then when we hover over this one, all I want to appear is a button like we had in that one. I don't want any background or writing or anything like that. So let's save this. Again, I'm going to go into back-end mode, wireframe mode. I'm going to clone the call to action this time. Remember, we've done all the settings, so we don't have to change any real settings. We're just doing design things at the moment. So again, 2 little boxes to clone it. They're both identical, doesn't matter which one. Drag it over. Okay, now I'm actually going to go into this one while we're on the back end, because if I was to flip to front end, you wouldn't see it. Now without looking, I know it's got a background on there. So all I really want to do is take away our title. Button, learn more is fine. And I want to take the content because all I want really is the button. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go down to our filter. I'm going to take some of that opacity away so we can actually edit it on the front end and see it at the same time. So I'm going to go back to desktop now while I'm on the filters. And like I say, I know we can't see it at the moment because it's there, but if I go down here to our opacity, go to desktop and bring it up so we can start seeing it. Okay, there's our button there. So I'm going to want to change that color and I want to drop it down a little bit. And we want to take any background away. So let's go to our content, make sure there's no background in here. Take that away. Great. Vaguely see the button there. If we go over to our design tab, go down to the button, I'm going to actually custom style this button. Not going to go crazy with it. Text color, I'm going to leave white, which it is at the moment, that's fine. Button background, I'm going to make blue. There we go, it's filled in a bit now. I'm going to do the same for the border as well. And it looks like I need to scoot it down a little bit as well. So let's close the button up and we'll go down to our spacing down below. And I need to add a bit more padding on the top there. Let's take that up to perhaps 100. Yeah, that's fairly central. That's going to work for me. Of course, now we need to go back to our filters. Go back down to our opacity desktop and take that back down so we can't see it until we hover on it. And when we hover over it, there it is right there. But to make sure that we're not going to see that computer, we don't want to make that invisible. We could if we wanted to. The easiest way is to give it the same background as our page here, which is white. So let's go to our background and just give it a white background. Then we're left with the button. Transition time, I'm going to slow this one down again. Let's make it just over a second, something like that. Great. Now for our third variation, we've got a little spin effect here, and we've got a circular module going on. So again, we're going to go to the back end mode. I'm going to clone my Blurb module one more time. In fact, I'm going to clone this one because it's got a background already on it. So I'm going to clone this one, two little squares again, identical. So again, it doesn't matter which one I drag over. We can go into this one now. Flip back to desktop mode. Let's pull them up and pop this one so we can see. Great. Well, what I want to do with this one is I want to make it circular. I want to make sure it's centrally aligned inside our column. So I know I've got a width of 300, and to make a circle you need to start off with a square. So if I make the width 300 here, like I say, sorry, I meant to say I've got the height 300 here. So if I match the width to the height, we'll have a square which I can turn into a circle. So if we go to our design here, I'm going to go back down to sizing. There's our 300 height down the bottom. Let's give it the same for a width. Now it's put in percentage, so I'm going to just take that percent sign away and put px for pixels. There we go. So we've got something that's 300 wide and 300 tall, which is a square. Great. But I want to make sure it's in the middle of our actual column there. So I'm going to make sure it's aligned to the middle. Now I'm going to make it into a circle. To do that, I'm going to slide down to border. And where it says rounded corners here, I'm going to put in 50%, 50 and the percent sign. And there we have it. As you can see, it's a perfect circle there. And we got our little computer thing. Now, when we hover over it, I want our call to action to sort of revolve in or rotate in. And I have a little button there. So again, we're going to save that. We're going to go back to wireframe mode again. I'm going to copy this one because again, it's got the background color already. Two little squares, doesn't matter which one we drag over. Okay, and we're going to do exactly the same for this as we did with the other one. Let's go in there. I'll flip back to desktop mode. Roll this up. What I'll do is I'll bring the opacity up a little bit so we can see this like we did with the other one. So design and filters, down to opacity, desktop state. I'm going to bring it up halfway so we can see it over the top. You can see it superimposed over the top. We're going to do exactly the same for this. So I'm going to roll back up. We're going to go to sizing. I'm going to make sure it's 300 wide, 300 pix. Remember, it might put in percentage, so just write 300 and px there. I'm going to make sure it's in the middle. There we go, fantastic. Let's give it some rounded corners again. So again, we're going to go down to the border, give them 50%. Great, so that's now on top. And I think that content can come down just a little bit more. So still on design, let's close up border. We'll go to spacing. Let's give it, say, 80. Maybe a little too much. We'll try 70. I'm sure that's fine. Okay, and when it actually fades in, I want it to spin. So to create that effect, let's close up spacing here. Still on the design tab, we go down, we've got transform. We've got several little boxes here. We've got transform scale, translate or move, rotate, transform skew, or transform origin, which is the point it will rotate around. I want to use rotate for this today, so I'm going to click on that one. And I want it to spin this way around. So initially, I'm going to have it kind of upside down. So say 340 degrees. Now again, let's hover over the dark writing, bring up the hover state, the little arrow there. So we're starting off at 340, and I want it to end up at the correct way round, which is 0. And I want this to take a fairly long time, so I'm going to go over to our advanced and transition. I'm going to roll this up to about 1.5 seconds, maybe even a bit more. And if you slide it all the way up and it doesn't go to where you want to go, just simply type in the value you want to type in there. You can have it as long as you want. Mine, like I say, probably going to have mine about 1.5 seconds. Maybe a bit longer. For drama. And the other settings I'm going to leave exactly the same. Let's take our opacity back down so we can't see it anymore. Back to our filters under the design tab. There's the opacity. And on desktop mode, I don't want to see it at all. Gone. Okay, if we've done this correctly, this should all work now. And once we've checked this out, I'll show you how to make it mobile friendly. Let's save this. Save our page changes, save draft or publish if you're ready. Let's exit the Visual Builder. And here we go. There's our little 3 we've done there, the first one. It's going to fade in with our little call to action button there. Second one's going to take a bit longer, but our little button should fade in. There we go. And the third one, our call to action should spin in over an almost 2-second period. And there we have it. There's our call to action. Very simple, no coding involved. Now, to make this friendly on sort of mobile devices, we need to add a sort of tap here so people actually know to tap on it, because the hover effects will work, but people just won't know to tap on it. Whereas you're mousing around your computer, it's going to happen automatically. So let's enable the Visual Builder again, and what we're going to do is I'm going to clone this whole row right here. So I'm going to click on the row itself. I'm going to hit the little 2 boxes again to clone the whole row, so we've got duplicate underneath. I'm going to go into each of these. And for the actual content, I'm going to open some brackets. I'm going to say tap here. Just so people on mobile phones and computers know to tap. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to do exactly the same on our next one here. As you can see, it's underneath. And similar for this one here. I'm just pasting it in, Control V to paste. So they all say tap here. Now what we want is I want this row to display on tablet and mobile with the tap here, and I want this one to display on desktop. If you prefer, you can do a completely different system that doesn't have a hover effect. But either way, Divi lets you choose how to display these things. So let's go into our row, green tab, And we can go over to the Advanced tab and Visibility, and this is common to all modules, rows and sections. Disable on desktop. I only want this one to show on tablet and mobile. As you can see, it's kind of faded it out a little bit just to let us know in the builder here that it's not going to be visible on desktop mode. Now we need to go into our other row at the top here. Again, the green tab. Over to Advanced, Visibility. And I only want this one visible on desktop, so I'm going to disable this one on tablet and mobile. And there's no change there because it's fully visible on desktop. Okay, if I now save my changes, let's exit the Visual Builder and save the page changes. Exit the Visual Builder. Okay, if I roll down, you can see we've only got one version here at the bottom, our desktop version. I'm using Google Chrome here with the great inspector tools. So if I hit F12, it's going to bring up my inspector tools. I'll roll this just up a little bit so you can see what's going on. I've got a devices toggle over here so we can take a look at it on tablet and mobile. So if I click on that, here it is on an iPad. If we roll down to our purple ones, there it is. There's our regular one with the tap here. And you can just click on it, it'll change. One below, same thing, tap here, the button will pop in. And the third one, tap here, and that'll fade in. So there's a little mobile version, that's on an iPad. Let's take a look on an iPhone. There it is. And again, tap here, and again, tap here. And that one, we're already open. There we go. So that's how to make it mobile friendly. So that's a nice little responsive one. And our top one here, I didn't make mobile, so we've got the same as we would on the desktop. So let's turn that back off. So there you go, guys. There's 3 little icon to button variations for you. I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, this has been Jamie from System 22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.